following program is intended for mature audiences.
Long toss by Keith, the turn and take by Kane. Burkowski walks in for a chance. And here comes Stamkos, moving it on Price. He scores! His first of the playoffs. Ovechkin with a shot. He scores! Right back across and filtered on through. They battle for it. And here's Son. He scores! Inside the final 30 seconds. Here comes Gaudreau. Moving up there. Gaudreau. Shooting. Scores! Weidman works it out. Backlund. Weidman. They play catch. Backlund. Shoots. Scores! Andre Palat. Loosler. Hedman in front. Johnson scores!
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Okay, so this is it's new technology we're going to try out here, Mike.
New technology.
I'm going to watch Zach sit in his chair and talk as I because
Yeah, see, that's the weird thing. Well, and it's also going to be a delay on the image from what you're hearing in here, Greg.
right.
Hello, two people. Hi from Turkey. We got some people from Turkey.
Wow.
All right, so for those on Periscope already here, welcome to Basically a Sports Show. It's my podcast that I host with the two guys in my ears, Greg in Ohio and Mike in Toronto. You're going to sit here and watch me talk to my headset and get my half, my third, I should say, of the conversation. Have I come to Turkey? I have not come to Turkey, no.
All right.
So there might be some questions coming through here. If they're not relevant, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer them because we're having a conversation here. So,
All right. So anyway, what do we want to start with? Mike, you get to pick the first topic this week.
How'd that happen?
I
Mike's
don't know.
choice.
I flipped a coin and it landed on you.
Oh, okay.
Three-sided coin.
I rolled the dice and it came up Mike.
All right. First topic.
Sorry, time's up. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Let's dive into the meat of it. Let's talk about some NHL playoffs.
Okie doke.
NHL playoffs.
I'm going to be right up front about this to you guys and to the listeners. My interest has waned a little bit here in the second round.
Oh, Gregory.
Well, first off,
Could that be because your Rangers are blowing it?
I don't even care about that so much, but it's just that I was so deep into the first round that I got a little fatigued, and now it's kind of like, okay, I'll start. I mean, I have the games on, but I'm not paying as close of attention. But now I'll get really interested in like clinchers and things like that. But other than that, I'm kind of like just it's kind of off to the side a little bit.
I mean, the first round, even the series that were short, like the Ducks Jets sweep was short. Obviously, only the 4 games, but all the games were still tight.
Yeah.
The Rangers Penn series, the Rangers won. It was 5 games, but every game the Rangers won was 2-1, and there were the 2 overtime games.
Right.
And then, of course, you had the longer series and all the overtimes. And then here in the second round, the magic is run out for Minnesota.
Oh, my God, I guess.
The Ducks were pretty dominant, and even then they had an entertaining Game 3, though. The Lightning were just as dominant over the Canadiens. And then you get the amazing last-second goal. And Rangers-Capitals was interesting for a minute, and then the Capitals are just outplaying the Rangers. So it's all kind of matter of fact. I think the conference finals are going to be a hell of...
Yeah.
It's a weird couple of series. I think in the case of Minnesota-Chicago, it's just a case where Chicago's just the better team. Minnesota has improved. They've improved their team. They have come together as a team. They had a great season this year, but at the end of the day, the Blackhawks are just better. At least the Blackhawks, as they are built currently, are just the better team, and that's all there is to that. Canadiens Lightning is really odd. Game 1 and 3 were actually really close. Both of those were 2-1, I believe. Lightning wins. The first one, it went to a double overtime. Went to double overtime, actually. And then Game 3, Tyler Johnson wins it with literally no time left.
Speaking of, I mean, Tyler Johnson's having a hell of a playoffs.
Tyler Johnson, like the Lightning better win the Stanley Cup, because if they go out, if their story ends, like if the Canadiens somehow manage to come back, or if the Lightning lose in either of the next 2 rounds, then Tyler Johnson, who's had a fantastic playoffs, it's just going to go down as sadly one of those lost gems. Like if they don't win the Cup, this great run that he's had is just going to fade into obscurity. Honestly, I think the closest series, and this is going to sound odd considering how Game 1 went, I think is Calgary-Anaheim.
Yeah, I think Game 1 was kind of an outlier. The Ducks just looking to really establish their presence, and they did. In Calgary, I think being a little shell-shocked because the Ducks are not Vancouver, And then Game 3 or Game 2, I should say, was closer. I mean, it was 1-0, but the Ducks were still dominating them the entire. Like they outshot them 20-9 in the first period. The game should, if it was Hiller in that instead of Ramo, it easily would have been 3-0 again. Mm-hmm. And Game 3 was a pretty damn entertaining game. The back and forth. I thought when the Ducks went up 3-2, the energy in the Saddle Dome and the look of the Flames as they were kind of gliding along. They looked like they were dead. Like, oh, we can't keep doing this. And then what energized them was the no goal call, because
which was bullshit. I'm sorry, that was a goal.
Mike, it's an optical illusion.
Bullshit.
Did you
bullshit,
see the thing?
That's an optical illusion.
No. Okay, I'm going to send you guys a link right now. Sportsnet did a demonstration of how physics works.
So you're telling me that puck that I watched cross the line. It didn't actually cross the line.
No. First off, the puck is off the ice. The puck is not flat. Second, look where Anderson's pad is on the ice.
Mike, did it look like a goal to you? Because it sure looked like one to me.
It looked like a goal to me, and I don't buy the optical illusion nonsense, because from what I can tell, the puck seems level with the bottom of Anderson's pad, meaning that its puck is more or less on the ice. It might be wibbling a bit, but it is not so far off the ice for that to be an optical illusion.
It looked to me like it rolled, like it almost like it followed the curve of his pads right across the line.
It curved right across to the portion of the pad that covers the front of the goalie's skate, and that part of Hiller's pad was clearly behind the line, and the puck went right up into it.
But if you look where the pad is, it's not even far enough behind the line for a puck to be between it and the pad and the line. Here it is. How geometry created the illusion of a Flames goal.
Oh, great. There's going to be math. Nobody told us.
No, there's no math.
It's still geometry.
I'm just going to put this out before we get to all this. Sportsnet paid $5 billion for the rights to the NHL. When it comes to protecting the quote-unquote integrity of the NHL, they're about as credible as ESPN when it comes to the integrity of the NFL. Like, there's just to claim that this is an unbiased look at how all of this went down, I'm just not buying that.
If it's similar to ESPN and their NFL deal, I can completely see where they've got a vested interest in making sure the league looks good,
Okay, first what you do, go to the 25-second mark.
All right.
That's where they show the super slow-mo replay of the actual shot.
All right.
And then if you go again to, I believe, like 55 seconds.
That's a goal.
Well, now wait. Hold on a minute here. Let me see.
It's not a goal. It's not a goal. Look where Anderson's pad is.
I got to be honest. In that, what I just watched there, the puck is clearly in the air.
I am not seeing that.
All right. Now go further ahead. The puck looks like it's over the line from the same angle.
Okay.
But when they bring the camera directly over the puck, like so, puck's not over the line.
Wait a minute now. It sure looks like it's over the line to me in this shot.
It has to be completely over the line.
Completely over the line?
Completely 100% not touching the red line.
So you're talking that little bit there on the red line means it's not a goal?
Yes.
But it's like 85% of the puck is past the line.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, but here's the thing. That puck, even in that in-studio example they mocked up, that puck is, as Greg said, at least 85% over the line. My point being, it's so close that basically, are you saying, well, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the position of the puck in the studio mirrors exactly the position of the puck?
But here's the other problem, though. The wording of the NHL, as we all know, is there has to be conclusive evidence. Now, that angle, as they just showed, it can be a little deceptive. So they do the overhead shot. In most arenas, the crossbar is a little kind of either in front of or behind the goal line when it comes to the camera angle, right, on the overhead. In Calgary, the crossbar is directly over the red line, so you can't see it. And the other thing with that is if the crossbar is directly over the red line in the camera shot and you still can't see the puck, then I can guarantee you the thing didn't cross the line. Either way, there wasn't conclusive evidence.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. That is a goal. There is.
Let me throw this. Let me throw this in.
Okay. In my opinion, saying this isn't a goal is like calling the Des Bryant catch not a catch.
If you show that shot to anyone that even has a rudimentary understanding of hockey, what are they going to say? They're going to say that's a goal.
My point is that the 85% thing that we're looking at in that studio recreation at Sportsnet, that's not an exact duplication of the situation that actually happened on ice. So my thing is that in my opinion, from everything I saw of the shot, it's not 85% over the line, and it wasn't 85% over the line. It was 100% over the line. I think it was a goal. And saying we don't have conclusive video proof from overhead to confirm that it's a goal, to me, is the same kind of wishy-washy nonsense that says Calvin Johnson didn't catch a football in the end zone because he didn't make a football move. It's such a bastardization of what the rule is supposed to be about.
Okay, but Mike, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Even if the studio recreation is not 100% exactly where the puck is, you can still see that there's an optical illusion created by the angle of the camera, right?
Let me ask this question.
So yes, I can.
Okay, so then with just that means that you can't be 1,000% sure that puck was indeed over the line.
Here's how I can be 100% sure that puck crossed the line. As someone who's played the position of goaltender.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, well, no.
Play the game, folks.
Well, no, he's got a perspective of it that we don't have. I mean, to be honest, yeah.
Point being that I'm well aware of how goalie pads, how their geometry works, for lack of a better term. And I'm well aware of the amount of space between that part of the pad that covers the front of the goalie's skate up to the, I guess what you call the main body of the pad that covers the shin. And the puck seems, from everything I see, to be right up against that part of the pad that pushes down over Anderson's skate. Mm-hmm. And it's right up against it, and that part of the goalie pad is clearly behind the line.
Here's the other thing about all of this, though. Mm-hmm. The Flames won. What does it matter? In Calgary, I keep reading things where people are still, like, up in arms, like, it was a goal. You won the game.
I think there are a couple reasons why this is getting so much
because it's happened to the Flames before.
It happened before in the 2004 Stanley Cup Final.
And I think that one was probably more of a goal than this one was, but yeah.
And that one happened in a Game 6 overtime where the Flames were leading the series, so if that goal had gone in, they would have won the Cup.
Yeah.
So it's a case of deja vu. And also, I think it's just a simple case of, to a lot of people, the Flames won, but they had to do more work that was necessary to win a game that they rightfully should have won in regulation.
Well, anyway, this is like the blue dress versus gold dress thing. We could go on and on for days about this. I'm with Mike. It looks like a goal to me, but, again, if the Flames won the game and justice was served, I guess everything worked out. I can say something with 100% certainty about the playoffs.
Wow.
Did I not say that the Rangers winning the President's Trophy, look what happened? Did I not say it? I'm just saying.
Well, the Rangers' problem is also Rick Nash went back to playoff Rick Nash and can't score, despite having one of his better regular seasons as a Ranger. Nobody else can put the puck in the net. Where's Martin St. Louis? And Braden Holtby playing well? Question mark.
I never should have said.
I don't know. It's just so weird because, again, it's kind of a Tyler Johnson situation in Game 1 where the Caps won it with 0 seconds left on the clock off a shot that Henrik Lundqvist, a world-caliber goalie that he is, should have had. So it's just one of those weird things where it's like, yeah, the Caps are up 3-1, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like that much of a dominating performance.
I don't really care that much, but still.
I think they're at a point now where it's like, well,
you could see this. You could see this in the Pittsburgh series. I don't think that series should have ever been as close as it was.
No.
You could just see. They were struggling mightily to score goals in that series.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was funny because didn't the Rangers score 28 seconds in?
On the Pittsburgh series?
Yeah, because we were watching that game.
Yeah, we were watching it,
when it started, and it just right off the bat, they score. It's like, okay, the Rangers are going to just roll over this team. They're going to win every game 3-1 or something.
Yeah, I think it was Rick Nash came down, the second time down the ice, fired a slap shot. It went off Marc-Andre Fleury. Derek Brassard drilled it home, and we're like, here we go. This is going to be awesome. And that was pretty much the high point of the series, even though they won. But that was really as good as it got, yeah.
Yeah. I think Tampa Capitals is probably would probably be a more interesting series than Tampa Rangers anyway, because the styles really clash.
I feel like I'm waiting around to get to the good series here, which I think is going to be Chicago-Anaheim is going to be pretty good.
We all thought that Minnesota-Chicago was going to be a tight series, and Game 1 looked like it was going to be that way after at least 2 periods, because Chicago goes up 3-0, then it's like, oh no. The Minnesota stormed back, and it's 3-3, and then the Blackhawks end up winning the game. They dominate Game 2, and Game 3, Minnesota has the same problem as the Rangers have right now. They can't score goals.
You would think that if Minnesota could hold Chicago to 1 goal in a game, they would win that game.
Sure.
Zach,
they wanted to round 2. What's that?
Bruce Boudreau is considering changing lineups. Lineups up.
I already saw that. Yeah, I know. We lose one damn game.
We've lost a game in the playoffs. Oh, my God. Abandon ship.
I swear to God, if we lose Game 2, because, I don't think we should lose a game because he's switching wingers on the 3rd and 4th line. But if we lose I'm going to blame it simply because he couldn't stick with a damn lineup.
I just...
And just, because this is...
Was Bruce Boudreau expecting to just win 16 straight games? Was that what he thought was going to happen?
This is Bruce Boudreau's bugaboo. This is this thing that has always followed him around. When he loses even a game, he demands changes.
This is a completely unnecessary freak out here. They've lost 1 game to a pretty good hockey team in that hockey team's building.
In overtime.
Right. I don't know. I could see, if the Ducks were down 2-1.
If we were down 2-1 and we got them blown out in a game or 2, sure.
Right, but there is no reason to this is one of those teams, like the way they're playing right now, with the way they were in the first round, and up to this point, you just step back and get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people were praising him for doing that through the first 6 games. He set a lineup and he's letting them play. And now all of a sudden you lose 1 game on the road in overtime when you were leading with 19 damn seconds left. You got beat by a perfect shot to tie it. And all marks to Johnny Gaudreau.
Johnny Hockey!
But everybody was covered. Gaudreau's on the wing. Anderson, he's shooting to the short side.
There are just certain shots that you're never going to be able to stop.
Yeah, it's like you'll never hit a 94-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters. You're just not going to do it no matter how hard you try. Same thing in hockey. There are just shots that are just going to go in no matter what you do. Every sport has that.
I just find it hilarious, and I really don't understand what Bruce Boudreau's, what he thought was going to happen. Because
here you go. Why would you make changes? Well, to bring some energy with some guys that haven't played yet.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And to send messages that we've got good guys not playing right now, so if we're not playing at the top of our game. Because they lost 1 game and didn't play as perfect as possible, you have to make lineup changes.
You won 6 out of 7 in the if you do that in the regular season, you're not touching a damn thing.
They swept the Jets, and in my mind, Bruce Boudreau's thinking, everything's perfect. We're going to win 12 more straight games. And then, when they lose 1, he's like, oh, my God, rework everything from the ground up. Put Gibson in. Bench Perry for most of the game. Yeah.
This is the thing I would be really worried about if I were you, Zach. If he's reacting like this after Game 3 against Calgary, what's he going to do? Because Chicago's going to. You guys may win the series. You may very well be the better team, but these guys aren't going to roll over and play dead for the Ducks. So then what? I could see him coaching you guys right out of a potential cup run here. I really could see it.
You look at just the way he managed the goaltenders in the Kings series last year.
Yeah,
where he starts Hiller in Game 1, and then he's played Hiller in games 1 and 2, and the Ducks lost an overtime game. Again, they were leading with 10 seconds left. And then they go to LA and they put in Anderson. and Anderson wins the game, but he gets injured. So instead of going back to Hiller for Game 4, they use John Gibson, who hadn't played ever.
Right, I remember this.
And throw him in there, and he gets a shutout, and then they go back and forth, and then they throw in Hiller when it's already 4-0 in Game 7. And it's like, what are you doing?
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of me when I play video games. Like if I'm in baseball, if a guy doesn't get a hit for like 3 at-bats, I'm going to trade him. You know? It's
Right.
like
Yeah. The little changes he wants to do aren't even the changes I would make. I think James Wisniewski needs to play a game here.
Well, I remember, Zach, you were worried about this in the Winnipeg series. Like you were worried that it's like, I'm just afraid that Bruce is going to start tinkering with things if the Jets manage to win a game.
Yep.
you look at Chicago, which is undoubtedly who you're going to play. If he doesn't blow the Calgary series here, it's not going to be a sweep. It's not going to be 5 games. You're looking at 6, maybe even 7 to get by these guys. And I'm just thinking, if he's flipping out like this, wow, I wouldn't be comfortable because Chicago's not going to flip out like this.
You can't go 16-0. Nobody goes 16-0.
What's the best anyone's ever done? And since
the Montreal Canadiens in 1960 had an undefeated cup run, but that was back before expansion. So you only had to win 8 games.
Yeah.
So the Canadians in 1960 went 8-0 to win the cup. I think the Oilers, one of the Oilers teams went 14-2.
Or 16-2.
16-2, yeah.
And then I think they said another Habs team in the 70s only lost 1 game.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say too, and you're talking, when you're talking about Edmonton or those Habs teams of the 60s and 70s, that was like a dynasty.
I'd say that the 80s Oilers teams, honestly, is probably one of the best hockey teams ever assembled.
No argument here.
And, they still went like 16-2. So if Bruce thought that he was going to sweep his way to a Stanley Cup championship, it's like, no, that's not going to happen.
I don't know what he's thinking. I hope we win the next game so that he'll just put his hands back in his pockets and just stay purple on the bench and yell at people.
Wow. I just.
It's not like he's dropping Perry to the second line or anything like that. He's switching out maybe switching out Yuri Sekach and Thomas Fleischmann instead of who would he be taking out even? Emerson Edom?
So you're telling me Wiz hasn't played a game for you guys in the playoffs yet?
No, because we value Clayton Stoner and his defensive and physical abilities, and he was one of the best players for the Minnesota Wild in their playoffs last year.
Well, then why did you trade for Wisniewski in the first place?
That's a lot of people's question. He was there to ignite the offense and the power play and be a physical guy in the playoffs.
It's just one of those things. It's kind of like how Matt Flynn has this amazing NFL contract. Just some guys get hot at just the right time and just the right situation that they're able to just leverage that into a huge payday or
they're always
a better
named
opportunity.
Like Matt Schaub, Matt Flynn, yeah.
Matt Flynn has got to be – he's like the king of the NFL because he's going to retire with no brain injuries and a ton of money.
Yep.
The other thing
God bless him. That's what I'd do. To go back to Boudreau.
I have no doubt Wiz will probably end up playing at some point in this series.
But, you're saying that these changes that Boudreau is making are just little ones, but you got to remember –
yeah, it's
a team. The team's looking at this and going, "Oh fuck, he's doing it again."
Yeah.
It's one of those things that any sport, I don't care, even soccer, this kind of thing can cascade, and before you know it,
it's not like it's the regular season. It's like, oh, I need to get some of these guys some minutes. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
It's the playoffs. No, you don't need to get anyone minutes.
Whoever's winning, whatever winning lineup you have, use it.
Yeah, I don't remember who Mike Richter's backup was, but it wasn't like in the playoffs they were, hey, we better get this guy in just to play. Oh, it was Dan Cloutier.
I used to know Mike Richter. No,
Dan Cloutier for a while. I don't remember who it was before that.
It was Cloutier for a while, but I used to know the name of the guy who was his backup before Cloutier, and I can't remember who it is now. It's bugging me.
Was it?
Who?
Well, it wasn't Van Beesbrook.
No, Van Beesbrook was in Florida by then, I think.
Yeah, Van Beesbrook was the goalie before Richter.
Right, yeah, and then he went to Florida. And it was Glenn Healy, Mike. How could we forget the
was it?
Glenn Healy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hockey Night in Canada superstar.
Oh, Glenn Healy's always bringing the most
Those
mediocre.
people down in Tampa Bay shouldn't bang on the glass.
I just remember that Cloutier was supposed to be like the next big thing. He was going to really be something. And well,
he went over to Tampa, and that was just like the death of him because back then the Lightning were just
Dan
Cloutier.
Yeah.
Cloutier, one of my favorite Kings netminders of all time, because I've never seen so many beach balls pile up in a net.
Cloutier and Felix Potvin are like the avatars of like early 2000s Kings ineptitude.
Well, it's Dan Cloutier, Felix Potvin, Roman Cechmanek, and Jamie Storr. Those are
Jamie Storr. Yes,
those are the guys. Those are my favorite Kings of all time.
Moving on to the next most exciting sport in the entire world, the National Basketball, or just as
the National Curling Association.
Well, that one too. As the cool people say, the association.
The Spurs lost, surprisingly.
The Spurs lost. What was an amazing Game 7. The Clippers doing the most un-Clipper thing I've ever seen the Clippers clipper.
They beat the Spurs in a Game 7.
They won a clutch game, and then they almost won 2 games on the road to start off the next series without their best player.
This isn't right. This just isn't right. This is the Clippers we're talking about
right
here.
now. I mean, looking, despite all the series being tied, I think the Clippers will end up beating the Rockets because I think the Clippers are, oh my God, better. And then Golden State will probably finish off Memphis, and then you have the Clippers playing the Warriors in a conference final, and the Clippers have some advantages over the Warriors, and I can't process this.
Well, not only that, but
I can't process it.
It's the Golden State Warriors versus the Los Angeles Clippers in the conference finals.
Right.
It's kind of what we've all been begging for years.
Right.
And here we have it.
Well, begging for years. Could you imagine even 5 years ago saying, "Hey, Warriors Clippers in the finals, in the conference final"? You'd be like, "Yeah, okay."
But I think it's funny that we've been like, "We want new blood. We want new blood." We got new blood, and guess what? We still don't care. So what are you going to do?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to see. Really, the most interesting thing right now is the Clippers, because looking at the teams out in the East. None of those teams are good enough to win the championship.
No.
Because the Hawks, they lost Game 1 to Washington, but the Wizards now have John Wall is out with some fractures in his hand. So I think that's the end of the Wizards. But Atlanta still hasn't been nearly as impressive as they were in the regular season. Cleveland is down Kevin Love. The Bulls might just beat the Cavs if things break right.
I think the Bulls will beat the Cavs. I just don't think that the Cavs have enough without Kevin Love. And I mean, there's always LeBron, and Kyrie Irving can always go off. But at the end of the day, I think the Bulls just have more talent.
But either way, you put it all together, and no matter who comes out of the East, neither of them, I think, are better than the Warriors or the Clippers.
I'd have to agree.
I'm not ready to live in a world where the Clippers are actually competing for championships.
I don't think the Clippers are okay. I don't think the Clippers are getting past the Warriors, if that's what it comes down to.
But you know what? If they do,
but they could.
They could. Oh my God! I mean, they could actually
because the Warriors, if they go cold from 3 or something,
right? And think about it for a second. We could live in a world where the Los Angeles Clippers have an actual banner to hang up,
a single banner, but
it's a banner nonetheless. Any way you look at it, it's not a division championship. That's actually one they could hang up and be proud of. I don't know that I don't know if I can deal with that. That's just that's a bridge too far. I can live with teams like the Devil Rays becoming the Rays and getting good. I can live with all that stuff, but this is just too much.
Well, because the Rays, they sucked forever, but it was relatively short. The Clippers have been the Clippers,
right?
Forever.
This is going to change. I mean, this is something that could threaten the very time-space continuum thing here. I
don't know. I just don't. I guess I'm just not as convinced in them as you guys seem to be because they're still tied 1-1 with Houston.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think we're saying they're going to. I'm saying we're just we're living in a world where all of a sudden it's a legitimate possibility,
right? And it's the fact that they beat the Spurs in a Game 7. The Spurs,
right? Yeah.
They went on the road without Chris Paul and won Game 1 handily against Houston. They probably should have won Game 2 against Houston without Chris Paul. And they could be up 2-0 without their star player going back to Staples Center. And they look like they hit a stride. They're playing well. And, I don't know.
It's nice to see that there's new blood, though. I have to say that. I'm surprised as all hell that the Spurs lost, especially to the Clippers. But, hey.
I'm personally at this point, I'm pulling what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Cavs Warriors. I think that'd be nice.
Yeah.
There'd
be a lot of yellow.
There'd be a lot of yellow, and I'm still pulling for LeBron James. I'd like to see LeBron James actually win a title with Cleveland. I think that would be cool to see.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Yeah. I wouldn't get terribly excited about it, but yeah, it would be nice. And maybe, just maybe, while we're talking about possibilities, just maybe it might shut up the Cleveland fans for a little while. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, it never will.
Well,
Wouldn't that be something?
I mean, did you see what the big headline was going into Game 2?
No.
Well, LeBron put his headband back on. He went like 20 games without it to be like...
To show off his new painted-on hairline? Is that what he was doing?
Right, and then he put it on last night, because they needed him to step up and win that Game 2.
I'm sure the headband made all the difference.
Oh, you know what? I just saw something that's interesting. People are bringing up because the Clippers and the Rockets are both teams where the old hack-a-shack thing has come back into play. You know what I mean by that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's everyone intentionally fouling DeAndre Jordan on the Clippers because he's awful at free throws, and everyone playing the Rockets intentionally fouling Dwight Howard. And now you have that kind of going against each other in this series. So I guess people are trying to find ways to eliminate that because really it's awful basketball to watch.
It really is.
And for some teams that play with a flow, it definitely breaks that up. Is there a way to kind of fix that?
I think there is. And granted,
Make them practice free throws?
Well, honestly, I don't think any amount of practice was going to make someone like, say, Shaquille O'Neal better at free throws. I just think he was had a genetic disposition to actually hitting a basket.
His hands were too big for the basketball.
Right. Watching him shoot free throws was poetry. I'm sorry, but it was just so funny.
I might be revealing my ignorance about the NBA here because I don't watch all that much of it, and I haven't in a while. But so tell me if this is actually a thing. I'd have it so that teams are allowed to sub out players to shoot free throws.
That would solve it. That would most certainly solve it.
Like if someone
Especially
on the other,
if it's an intentional foul.
Yeah,
only on intentional fouls.
Like saying only intentionals, that does bring in a little level of subjectivity to it,
right?
On the official side,
they do that for technical fouls where you can pick anybody, right?
They have to be. I think they have to be somebody that's on the court at the time the technical took place. Mike's got a good idea there. I think that would work. I just don't know how you implement it.
I guess you would have to say maybe just for off the ball fouls. Because if it's a shooting foul, then the shooter still has to take the shots.
Right.
Honestly, I would just make it incredibly simple. If a team is awarded some free throws, the coach of the team taking the shot has the option to sub anyone on his team out to actually take the shot.
And you know what else that would solve, too? It would solve all that bullshit at the end of games where it's timeout, foul, timeout, foul, timeout, foul. Yeah, you know what? I think basketball purists would have a real problem with it, but if you just implemented it across the board, it would
implement it across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to start a DH debate here because once the summer gets into full swing, we'll have plenty of time to bullshit over the minutia of baseball. But baseball purists hated the DH. It wasn't implemented across the board. The NL held out and still holding out, obviously.
Thank God.
But the AL did it, and now I believe the DH is common practice at all levels of baseball except the NL. Point being that, purists hate it. And again, I'm not saying that the DH is necessarily a good thing. We could have that debate another time. But, there are going to be rule changes that purists hate. But, if you just do the hard sell, they eventually shut up and just kind of accept it.
Yeah. I just don't know how.
It'd be interesting to have a designated free throw shooter because then you'd have guys like Steve Nash could probably still play in the league. Yeah. All you need to have him do is take free throws.
Oh, he could play till he was 70 if that's all he had to do.
I don't know. I could see him breaking his ankle on the way from the bench to the free throw line. I mean,
Canada would just produce the world's greatest designated free throw for decades.
I think it's a great idea, and even if you just limit it to the coach can pick whoever's on the floor to shoot the free throws. It doesn't even have to be a designated guy.
Yeah, just say that the coach can pick anyone who was on the floor at the time of the foul can take the free throw.
Right, because I mean, if let's say like with Shaq, are you going to beat up on Shaq and try to put him at the line if Kobe gets to shoot all the free throws? No.
Yeah.
Again, purists will hate it, but at the end of the day, it's going to make for a much better flowing game.
And guess what, basketball fans? A Canadian who has maybe watched 10 basketball games in the past 3 years just fixed the NBA.
Well,
what's up?
Remember,
what's up?
Canadian invented the game, right?
Dr. James Naismith, yes, he did.
It's in your blood, Mike. It's just, that's what people don't realize about Canadians is that not only is hockey in your blood, but so is basketball.
Does anyone wonder why structurally basketball and hockey are almost identical? I mean, because a Canadian invented basketball, so he's like, well, let's just do hockey, but differently. In basketball's earliest forms, you did a tip-off after each basket, just like in hockey. You do it, But then they realized in basketball that's stupid, so they fixed it.
But you know what though? Back then,
imagine?
there were probably purists back then who were like, I don't like this. Yeah. And now we look back and go, oh my God, I can't believe they used to do that. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. So yeah, I'm with you 100% on it.
Plus, it keeps Steve Nash relevant, and Canada can continue to rejoice and live vicariously through him when it comes to basketball.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs!
Quick. Okay. I don't like that tab. Next tab.
That was great, Mike. That was outstanding. I didn't think you could top a Canadian saving basketball, but you may have just done it. All right, go ahead, Zach.
I know this is soccer, and I know you don't want it quickly, but the Spanish FA, the Football Association, is suspending play of La Liga with 2 weeks remaining, and the title still not decided.
Why?
Why are they doing that?
Because the government is getting involved with the league's TV rights. Now, the way it works in Spain is clubs negotiate their rights individually, not as a collective league. So, obviously, in European soccer, where you have these huge teams, like in Spain, you have Barcelona and Madrid, and they can get billions and billions of dollars for their TV rights, where little teams are just kind of like, well, can we get a couple pence, sir, please? So that, and I guess there's under the proposed law that the Spanish government is trying to pass, the Spanish Football Federation would only receive about 4.5% of all revenue, a figure it considers inadequate. It's basically an MLB 1994 situation where they're stopping play right in the middle of the season. They
would rather stop play than come up with a way to divide the TV revenue equally.
You don't understand, Greg. They're Spaniards. They're very passionate, so sometimes things aren't thought through.
Okay. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm against a soccer league shutting down. I've got no problem with that. If you could get them all to do it, we'd really be onto something here. I just think that the health of the league would take precedent over, I don't know. It just seems kind of silly to me, but so does all of soccer.
It's an indefinite strike, and right now Barcelona leads Real Madrid by only 2 points with 2 games remaining, and also the domestic cup, the Copa del Rey. That final is on May 30th between Barcelona and Atletico Bilbao.
Well, but I think the fact that was it Barcelona leads Madrid or the other way around?
Barca leads Madrid, yeah.
It kind of illustrates the point. I think that it's not Barcelona and some team I've never heard of. It's the only 2 teams in all of Spanish hockey I've ever heard of are the 2
Spanish
that are
hockey?
Spanish soccer. Come on, Spanish hockey would be great, don't you think?
Spanish hockey.
The Real Madrid Ice Pilots.
The Ice Toros or the Ice Bullfighters. There you go. Angry Bull with a hockey stick.
Angry Bull. Salsa can be reborn, yes.
Angry Matador with a hockey stick. Come on, it would be great.
Jesus.
All right, go ahead. What's next?
Also last week, Alexander Rodriguez hit home run number 660, tying Willie Mays for 4th all-time. Greg, as the baseball commissioner of Basically a Sports Show, your thoughts on Mr. Rodriguez hitting 660 home runs?
I think that's all well and good. They don't count. He didn't pass Willie Mays in anything in my book. So that's what I think about it.
Exactly.
After the game, they interviewed him, and he cried, and he was emotional and said it was a long journey, and he's so happy to be here.
Did he have a handwritten note to explain how touched he was?
Well, he wanted to thank the Yahis for all the support that they've given him. And it's so great to break this record in a Yahi uniform.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He could hit 500 more home runs. He could finish his career with 1,160 home runs, and I don't care. He cheated his entire career. So everything he's done is a complete illusion. I don't care. It's just a shame to me that a douchebag like A-Rod has to surpass one of the all-time greats like Willie Mays. That just doesn't seem right to me.
Mm-hmm. In a move I know you all were waiting on pins and needles for, the Human Centipede trilogy is going to be completed.
Oh, thank God. I was worried they weren't going to get the funding.
Well, the Human Centipede 3, it's going to be set in a prison camp.
Because of course it is.
And it's not just one person at a time or 3 people at a time. 500 prisoners in one large human centipede. Coming to theaters May 22nd.
Forget the Avengers. I'm going to see that.
So the capper, and of course here on Basically a Sports Show, you listen all the way to the end for the capping tab every week. And this one is another one of a line of great tabs. An abstinence-only Texas high school is experiencing an outbreak of chlamydia.
No one saw that coming, did they?
Hey, baby.
Crane High School has 300 students in it. 20 of them have been tested for chlamydia. That's 1 in 15 students at the abstinence-only high school that have tested positive for chlamydia. The superintendent spoke with the local TV station saying, "We do have an abstinence curriculum, and that evidently isn't working.
You think?
If kids are not having any sexual activity, they can't get the disease. It's not a bad program."
Except that it doesn't work. It never has worked, nor will it. Look, you can do everything in the world. You cannot fight hormones. It just can't. It's a losing battle. You're never going to win. The smartest thing you can do is here's a bunch of condoms, here's some education, go at it. That's the best you can do. I'm not at all surprised by this. I'm surprised it's only 20.
It's 20 out of the 300 students.
I mean, I figured you were going to say
in a town of 3,000 people.
I figured you were going to say of the 300 students, 280 of them have chlamydia. That would have not surprised me a bit.
No, I brought that up in my class today because we do what's the news today? So all I had to do was read the headline, and my teacher was like, "I don't even need to hear the rest," because he just started laughing. He's like, "Chlamydia isn't funny."
Except when it is, yeah.
Except when it is.
So yes,
great way to finish the show, as always.
Also, the Angels set a record for sombreros in a stadium on Cinco de Mayo.
That's why I like the Angels. It's really not the reason, but I don't know. It's just fun.
Well, they did the wrestling mask thing a few years ago, which I thought was awesome. Remember that? Do you remember that, Zach, when they gave away the wrestling masks at the...
Oh, yeah, I have one of those.
Do you? See, I want one of those in the worst way. I just got to have one.
Really, I just like the Angels because I'm eternally grateful that they've denied us a Barry Bonds World Series championship. So.
Well, and you love all the logos and the patches on the uniforms too. Admit it. Come on.
They just need to find more spaces to squeeze Halo A's onto it. And,
exactly.
Just go to town.
And the very last thing, because I wanted to bring this up last week, but we ran out of time. Geek Show reference, kind of. Did you hear the news out of Japan, Mike, last week?
No.
Godzilla is real. Sorry.
Yes. This summer in July, Japan will broadcast a brand new series of Dragon Ball anime.
I even saw that, Mike. How did you not hear about this?
I'm so psyched.
I even knew that.
They already had a new movie last year. They have a new movie coming out this summer. And now they're going to put out a brand new original content TV series in Japan. 19 years after the last episode of Dragon Ball Z aired. Yeah,
I'm excited.
It's going to be called Dragon Ball Super.
All right.
You know what? The name's stupid, but I'm excited.
I want to close out on this note since we were talking about weird things in sports. Today is May the 7th.
Yes.
And your standings in the American League West are as follows. The Houston Astros. Houston Astros have a 5-game lead over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Just wanted to throw that in there before we call it a day.
Yeah, on May 1st, they had like a 7-game lead. The last team to have a 7-game lead on May 1st in the division was the 2001 Seattle Mariners.
Oh.
And they won like 170 games.
121.
Until the Yankees bitch slap them because we're not allowed to have cool narratives.
Right, exactly. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. You can also catch Zach doing the Periscope thing every once in a while there and all that
every
good
once
stuff.
in a while. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's hit and miss. I'm not a pretty woman, so people aren't watching my Periscopes long enough for me to say anything.
Go to the website. Basically,
and the internet's also very creepy, just so people know.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Basically, sportshow.com is the website. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, YouTube, and I believe that's all of them.
Coming soon to farmersonly.com.
All right, we're done. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.